What's up, YouTube? I'm an average dad. Recently I saw a couple of videos of people repairing leather car seats and the results were pretty amazing. So I started thinking, how hard could it be? This is our average RAV4 that we'll be working on. The first spot I'll try to repair is here on the bolster. There's some pretty deep cracks. This is why it's good to sit in the seat and not slide into the seat. The previous owners didn't take great care of this car, but I'm definitely not bitter. Second spot is this tear on the front of the seat. You can see my wife made an initial attempt to repair it, but it just tore right next to that. And then over on the passenger side, there's some scratching on the backrest bolster that's a little bit more minor. Looks kind of like a mountain lion was trying to sit shotgun. So we're going to start out cleaning all the surfaces with Simple Green. A lot of places online said this was a great cleaner that wouldn't damage the seats. So we're going to clean all three of those areas really well so the repair materials and dye adhere to the leather. And in true dad fashion, we'll find a random puff, because you know, I guess our toddler loves to sit in the front seat. So the two products I'll be trying out are this 3M leather and vinyl repair kit. It was $12. And then from Seat Doctors, this leather VIN matched dye, as well as some crack filler. And the Seat Doctors stuff also shipped with a flexible spatula. So real quick, I'll show you what comes in the 3M kit. So first you got these instructions that are really long. You get 2 small containers of vinyl adhesive, then a bunch of colors you can mix together to match the interior of your car. There's this tool for heating the back of the texture papers, then this booklet with a practice piece of vinyl, a fabric backing for repairs, and then 3 pieces of texture paper. The practice piece it came with was pretty close to the color of the seat, so I was tempted to use it, but ultimately decided against it. So I will attack this tear first, as the vinyl adhesive from 3M takes 4 hours to cure. First I'll size the fabric backing and then use my expert cutting skills. Next I'll use the plastic spatulas to carefully fit it under the tear and flatten it out. Afterwards it looks like this. Next, to keep that in place, we'll use the 3M vinyl adhesive, which smells suspiciously like Elmer's glue. And it's about as full as a potato chip bag, but I guess they give you 2. So I'm going to carefully finagle that between the leather seat and the fabric backing, and then wipe away the excess. I was a little nervous about it then tearing on the other side of the sewn up part, so I added some adhesive there as well. Next, I'm going to tackle the severe cracking on the bolster with the Seat Doctors crack filler. The consistency of this stuff was much different. It was a lot thicker. So I'll go ahead and start buttering up the seat.
Get it on there. Yeah.
Then I'll hit it with heat gun so it dries faster. Even though they weren't very deep, I also used the crack filler on the passenger seat. Now I'll try out the Seat Doctors color matched dye. On this side I tried the foam brush, but it was pretty difficult to feather it in without making brush marks. Back to the driver's seat, I noticed that the crack filler had some cracks in it after the first coat dried, so I went ahead and put on another layer. And then again hit that with the heat gun. Then it was time to start turning all this crack filler gray. On this seat I ended up using a piece of an old shirt and just rubbing in circles. So this tear is where I deviated from the 3M instructions a little bit. The vinyl adhesive took forever to cure, so I opted to instead just use crack filler. Also because that section of the leather was perforated, I was not very concerned about texturing it at the end. And then same thing as the vinyl adhesive, I put a little bit on the other side that was sewn up. And then another coat on the seat bolster. You can see now it's starting to look pretty uniform. Then on the tear, once the crack filler is all cured, it's time to start dyeing it. The final coat of dye I put on the bolster, I dabbed on to try to break up the sheen of the filler. Once that's done, you can tell the color does blend very well with the rest of the seat, but I skimped a little bit on the filler so you can see there's still a slightly low part where the tear was. Outside of the lack of holes, that area really starts to blend in though once you get a little further away. So now I'll start to work on redoing those perforations. At first I tried doing this with the tip of a safety pin, but it really didn't create a large hole, it just kind of pushed the material into the seat, so it didn't create the shadow or appearance of the rest of the perforations. So my next strategy was to get this really nice leather working tool out of our junk drawer. Though not eloquent, it was a lot more effective. Except for I was having troubles with just the tip, so upgraded to this one. After drawing a bunch of dots, the repairs are complete. So this is how the passenger seat turned out. Now if you look really closely you can see where it's dyed, but it's pretty hard to tell. And this is how the driver's seat turned out. Now, does it look brand new? No. But I briefly looked at getting the seat completely reupholstered. It was going to be like $600 or $700. And it wouldn't exactly match the rest of the car because of the slight UV damage from the age. So for about $50 and 2 hours of work, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. you want to see an average dad do other house and car projects in a thrifty manner, consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you, and see you next time.